Formula 1 champions Red Bull have made some changes to their car at testing in Barcelona. Our reporter Rachel Brooks and Ted Kravitz got a pretty close look in the pit lane a short time ago.
Well, Ted and I have come to the Red Bull garage this morning. It's the only place to be a lot of media and press around as they bring these new parts in. It's just gone out for the installation lap and we're waiting for it to return. Mark Webber driving. Ted, what did you see?
Well, it's a brand new exhaust system, so now we understand why they had to fly a new car out overnight, because they couldn't fit this new exhaust system to chassis number 1. So chassis number 2 has come out, and indeed, as we said yesterday, this looks like Adrian Newey has reacted to what other teams have done with their exhaust systems that they saw from the first test. This one is much more aggressive, much more towards the edge of what the rules allow. Of course, the rules do allow it. It is legal. But if we see what they've done at the rear of the car, and look how quickly all the mechanics come to cover everything up. I can see a small change on the front wing. The rear wing appears to be pretty much the same. But as Paul di Resta just passes us in the Force India, you can see how keen the mechanics are to just shoo all the reporters away there. But yeah, I had a look at it, and it's a exhaust system halfway, I'd say, between the McLaren system and the Sauber system, whereas Red Bull started this testing season with exhaust just came out and flowed fairly standardly towards the rear wing. This one, they're much further towards the front of the car, and they appear to sort of downflow. And you can see what Adrian Newey is trying to do with the airflow. It's similar to what the Sauber system has, more like a Sauber system than the McLaren system, I'd say. McLaren uses small channels to funnel their exhaust through the back of the car. Red Bull, you can say it's much more of a sort of a downwash concept.
But also we heard from Pat Fry last night, Ferrari talking about their exhaust system. They tried one out for the first 2 tests. They realised it was too aggressive, too radical, and they've now come with a different exhaust for this test here. And how have they been getting on with it?
Well, indeed, but that shows how confident Red Bull must be in this new exhaust to bring that there. Ferrari have been trying what they admitted was an aggressive exhaust solution, and they couldn't get it to work. And so they've had to go back, and they've only had 3 days testing with this new exhaust to get it right for Melbourne. So Adrian Newey and Red Bull must be absolutely certain that this new exhaust system, which, let's not forget, they've now only got 2 days to perfect, is absolutely right for them. We'll see what Ferrari do later on in the day.
What will Red Bull be doing today now? We've seen that installation lap. Are they going to try and do long runs, or is it too early with this new system?
No, they won't try and do long runs, because the problem with a new exhaust system is that you don't know really where the hot exhaust air is going to blow. There's a big problem with overheating. So what Red Bull need to understand for the rest of today and tomorrow with Sebastian Vettel is whether this exhaust system is giving them the downforce that they want, and whether it's burning the back of the car, because they don't know that yet, and they need to find out.
All right, thanks very much, Ted. We'll be keeping a close eye on what does happen with that Red Bull today and the rest of the teams here at the Circuit Catalunya in Barcelona.
And a reminder, you can see live coverage of every race this year on Sky Sports F1 HD, starting with the Australian Grand Prix on March the 18th. We'll also bring you live coverage from practice sessions and qualifying, and our team will also be bringing you exclusive content and interviews throughout the season, all on Sky Sports F1 HD, which launches on Friday. And you can see our special report on the countdown to the new F1 season from 7:30 on Monday evening here on Sky Sports News HD.
Yeah.
It's the penultimate day of the final pre-season test ahead of the new Formula 1 season, and we can head back to Rachel Brooks now in Barcelona.
Yes, well, we've come out onto the track here at the Circuit Catalunya. We're at turn 10, and of course, this track will be hosting the Grand Prix in May. But right now, it's the 3rd day of the winter pre-season testing, the final winter testing session these teams have before we go to Australia for the first race in Melbourne in just over 2 weeks' time. They're expecting about 6,000 fans to turn up today to watch this, and I'm joined now by Ted Kravitz from Sky Sports F1 HD. And Ted, what will the fans see today?
Well, they're going to see a brand new Red Bull. They've flown chassis number 2 out here overnight from the factory in Milton Keynes, and it's arrived. We've had a look at it this morning. It's a brand new exhaust system, a new downwash exhaust. We haven't seen a new rear wing or a new front wing on the car yet. I think that will come later on in the test, perhaps tomorrow when Sebastian Vettel drives the car. But it's quite an exciting development from Red Bull. They've already looked like they're the fastest car in pre-season testing, and now they've brought this significant upgrade to the rear of the car, and I think it's going to have a lot of the other teams quite worried.
One of those teams being McLaren. What are we going to see from them today, do you think?
Well, we've seen a drip of improvements from McLaren. They've been bringing piece by piece and fitting them to the car bit by bit and making sure one works, and then they put another one on. But Red Bull have come, and now with a big splash of a new rear end on their car, and they've surprised everybody, and this is the car that they're going to race in Australia. So McLaren really have to bring something out of the bag that's significant in the next 2 days for us to have a real competition of it in Melbourne. Otherwise, I fear that we might have certainly Red Bull winning the race and possibly a 1-2 in Melbourne.
And what about the other teams? Let's talk about Ferrari, because there's still a lot of talk about Ferrari, and can they have anything dramatic up their sleeve, or do we really think they're struggling?
Well, by Ferrari's own admission, they are still with some work to do. They've changed exhausts themselves, not because they felt it was beneficial for performance like Red Bull, but because they felt they had to, because they didn't really understand their new exhausts. And they're working through a program very steadily. I think there's a slight agreement with everybody, and the team are admitting it tacitly, if you like, that they're going to be not quite as prepared as they'd like going to Melbourne, but we should see that car come good later on in the first few flyaway races.
We've got the Force India going round at the moment behind us, and they have been performing fairly well here. They will be one of that midfield chasing pack, won't they? Yeah,
that's Paul di Resta, Scottish driver, out in the Force India, and he's on the medium tyres, so he'll be doing some more race preparation. And Force India really looking like they might be heading the front of the midfield pack, along with Sauber, who've been quite impressive, and Williams and Toro Rosso as well. They seem to be some good cars in that midfield pack. It's going to be quite hotly contested.
One team that have been performing well, but this morning are having problems, is Lotus. They've got a steering issue, but it's kept them in the garage for quite a long time.
Yeah, this is a shame, because Lotus Renault are really waiting to see what Kimi Räikkönen made of the new car. Let's not forget they missed the second test, which was the first test held in Barcelona here. They've only competed in Jerez before, so this is Kimi Räikkönen's first run in a car since February the 8th, if you can believe that. And it's a shame, because he came back and reported that he didn't like the way the car was steering. They wanted to change it, they want Kimi to be happy, but they've already lost the first morning. So what looked very promising for them, they've been quickest with Kimi's teammate Romain Grosjean for the first 2 days, has turned into slightly not such a good situation for Lotus Renault, but the car is still quick.
All right, well, thanks very much, Ted, for the moment. We're expecting the teams to be doing, most of the teams anyway, to be doing some race simulations this afternoon, not longer runs, and we will keep you updated with the progress.
Brilliant. Thanks, Rachel. Well, a reminder, you can see live coverage of every race this year on Sky Sports F1 HD, starting with the Australian Grand Prix on March the 18th. We'll also bring you live coverage from practice sessions and qualifying. And our team will also be bringing you exclusive content and interviews throughout the season. It's all on Sky Sports F1 HD, which launches on Friday.